Let's talk some National Football League. First of all, you have a Super Bowl pick. I want to hear right now a preseason Super Bowl pick.
I'm going to say right now, there has to be a time that Baltimore and Lamar break through, right? It has to be. I'm going to say the window is starting to close. Get it done, Lamar. I think their roster is really good. They draft well all the time. I'm going to go with Baltimore in the AFC. And you know what? I still think Philadelphia is going to be hell.
Yep. I got Baltimore and the Rams. Now, that is assuming Matthew Stafford's healthy.
That back, that doesn't concern you at all.
It does. But the playoff game in Philly last year, how close did the Rams come to beating?
12 yards from winning.
They pushed them harder than anybody.
By far. And
who did they add in the offseason?
Devontae Adams.
Yes.
And the way that they transitioned from the Aaron Donald era.
Yes.
And they drafted those two young men from Florida State, Verse and Fisk. And Sean McVay is one of those guys.
He's a great coach.
He wins another Super Bowl. That means he's gone to 3, won 2. You got to think. He's already the greatest Rams coach in history, isn't he? Don't you think?
Yes.
There haven't been that many world championships.
Who else has won a Super Bowl?
Right. Chuck Knox didn't. John Robinson didn't. No one else did. He's actually underrated, Dave, because he rescued the career of Jared Goff, took him to a Super Bowl. I do know one thing, as someone that really likes Detroit Lions, I get the sense Detroit's going to go backwards.
You think the window closed on them?
Not the
24-7 at the half over the 49ers 2 years ago.
Game.
Then last year they had home field all throughout the playoffs and couldn't get it done.
Well, their defense just fell apart. They had so many injuries.
Is the window closed?
I don't know the last time a team lost 2 coordinators and went to a Super Bowl, Dave. And I really like Dan Campbell, and I love their GM, Brad Holmes. But they took some losses on the interior of their offensive line. They have to look. You could say we're running the same system. Ben Johnson's a loss. That guy is a bright offensive line. So when I look at the
no excuses for Caleb Williams now, right? Look at the offensive coordinator he has.
Let's put it this way, Dave. You know this. I wouldn't have chosen him number 1.
I got to give you credit. I love Caleb Williams and college. You told me that Jaden Daniels was better than him.
Right.
And so far, you're right.
I am because, look, in the National Football League, I don't care how good of an athlete you are, you generally have to play on script, which means getting rid of the ball in 2.75 seconds. The stuff that he does and his comportment, can you think he can lead men?
Well, this is
I have my doubts.
with this coach. Ben Johnson will get the best out of him with his offensive system. If he can't succeed with Ben Johnson, he's not ever going to.
Think about what they do in Detroit, though, with Jared Goff. Everything, a lot of it's under center, old school play action, 3, 5, 7-step drop. Ball has to be out with precision and timing. I don't see a lot of that from Caleb. I really don't. Well, a team that I think in the NFC, because look, one thing about Jaden Daniels, what has happened to recent quarterbacks after strong rookie years? They go backwards a little bit.
Sophomore slump.
There's a lot of tape. I still think the Eagles are solid, Dave, but the
Me
Packers,
too.
And this has nothing to do with Micah Parsons. Keep this in mind. When the Packers blew up the Cowboys a couple years ago and they were on top of the Niners in that same year that they went to the Super Bowl, weren't they winning in the 4th quarter or 3rd quarter? They were the youngest team, Dave, at that point. They're still the youngest team.
Now, I'm going to say something right now. You might look me straight in the eye and call me an idiot when I say that, and it wouldn't be the first time that you've said that. I think that Micah Parsons is overrated. I've never really liked him. When they play good team, what has he done against the Eagles in the postseason and in the regular season? He's played 3 postseason games. Now, I know he's a great speed rusher. He's averaged 12 sacks a year for his first 4 years. He's 3 playoff games. How many sacks do you think he has? 1. How many tackles?
Probably no more than 10. Wow, 4?
He can't. When you run right at him, he can't stop the run. He's a one-dimensional speed rusher.
You know, the football.
I thought Steve, this trade, Dallas got 2 first-round picks and an all-pro tackle.
Yes.
I think they might have gotten the better of this thing.
And it turns out that for the time being, he's going to need an epidural before each game. And if I'm the Packers, I actually wait. Because if you've made a long-term commitment, I'm not rushing him to get out there in week 1. I'd actually say, let's come back in October. Because if we're tied up with all this money for 4 years, I'm not wasting him in the first week.
You think the Dallas might have gotten the better of this deal? You agree with me?
You're not the only one.
Wow.
I actually know some football people that really felt that Micah is a great situation.
You think he's overrated?
If you're saying that he's the next Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, yes.
Yes.
Is he Bruce Smith? No. And
He's one-dimensional.
Dave, when I watched America's Team, excellent documentary on Netflix, right? I get the sense that Jerry Jones feels let down by Micah. The reason why he has loyalty to men like Troy, well, not Troy and Troy don't get along, but especially Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith, you know why? They put rings on his finger. And to this day, they still have business relationships with them, right? He looks upon Micah as a newer generation of player that has let him down. Because Dave, I think even Jerry Jones realizes we're all running out of time. We all end up in the same place. I think he wants one more Super Bowl past the Jimmy Johnson era. Because even 95, that was really Jimmy's team, right?
They kept the whole coaching staff.
Right.
That was his team.
And so, if I'm Jerry Jones, the reason why Michael Irvin and that generation of players will always be my favorite, they made me look the best. That's the truth. And if you watch that documentary, and I know they taped some of that was actually taped during that season when they got blown out by the Packers.
Yeah.
He tried to put a good face on it by telling, there's a scene where he says, hey, Micah, it's not your fault. Okay. He feels that way when Micah's not in a contract holdout with him. And Dave, when Micah laid down on that training table in the middle of the game,
terrible.
Optics matter. Optics matter. Like Charles Haley can be a complete maniac. He put rings on his finger.
I remember when you were on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I said when Jim Harbaugh got that job with the Los Angeles Chargers, everywhere he's been, he's turned it around quickly. University of San Diego,
2 years.
Stanford, 49ers, Michigan. He's a miracle worker. And I said, he'll have them in the Super Bowl within 5 years. And you corrected me. You said 5. How about 3?
How about 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Now, that injury to Slater hurts them because I thought they had the best set of tackles maybe in football. But, look, you can overcome it. But there comes a point, though, Dave. I like Justin Herbert. And Mario loves him because he's a big Charger fan back in the day. But Herbert is an elite quarterback for about 56 minutes. It's those last 4 minutes where he lets you down a little bit. But maybe it's not all him, but there's going to be a year where Herbert really elevates his game. Is it this year? He's in a loaded division, though, Dave.
How about Ravens-Bills week 1? Now, there is a good game. Now, you talk about the Bills. Everybody says, well, this is going to be the year they're going to finally get over the
3 years in a row.
3 years in a row in the AFC Championship game. Has the window closed on them?
Maybe.
And Josh Allen.
I look at them as being relatively young, but Dave, who's Josh Allen throwing to
That's
outside?
the problem.
Like Andre Reed ain't walking through that
Diggs
door.
is gone.
Well, that could be addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
But I look at them, Keon Coleman, Shakur, I'm kind of like, they're okay, but it's not like there's Don Beebe and Andre Reed out there. Now, Josh Allen is a machine, but everybody has their best buy date or sell by date. I think he's at that point now. He's at that apex. What comes after the apex? The descent. I tell you a team that's going to have, or a player that's going to have a rebound year, Mahomes. We watched them in the preseason.
Hopefully he's in better shape.
They're going to be pushing the ball downfield vertically again. I actually like their wide receiver crew. And they got some offensive line help in the draft.
I'll tell you who I like a lot as a dark horse team. I think Denver can get to the Super Bowl this year. Now, Peyton's second year, Sean Payton, he took a bad team, turned them around a little bit in the first year, got him in the playoffs last year. Best defense in the NFL, arguably. And Bo Nix, how much does Bo Nix remind you of Drew Brees? I think that's why Sean Payton liked him, because he reminded him of Drew. They could be in the Super Bowl this year.
If you redid that 24 draft, I'm not saying Bo Nix would be the first quarterback, but Dave, I don't think he'd be the last one selected in the first round either. I actually believe he might be the second or third. I'm actually wondering, would you take him over Drake May? Drake May has not progressed. Bo Nix is decisive, Dave. When he gets the ball, he knows exactly where to go with it.
Absolutely. He was impressive last year. He was impressive his rookie year.
It's amazing that he was a guy that when he was at Auburn his last year, they thought he couldn't play football. Now,
I remember his father.
Yes, Pat Nix actually coached at Miami. He was a offensive coordinator there in 07.
He was a quarterback at Auburn.
Pat Nix, a quarterback in 93, 94. God, we're old.
What do you think about the Raiders this year? You know, I think Pete Carroll's a really good coach. Energetic. He was a great recruiter. He's one of the few that can coach on the college and the NFL level. Both Jimmy Johnson's another one. I thought Ashton Gente was a great pick at number 6. He reminds me of Barry Sanders. Now that's
wow, Barry
big
Sanders.
shoes to fill, but 5'8", 220 pounds, that burst that he has. The first guy never gets him off his feet either. The first tackler.
I don't know if he's that elusive.
To say he's Barry Sanders,
but he's a powerful
guy. He reminds me of it.
He can run through people.
And the new quarterback this year?
Geno Smith will give you a solid professional
They're in a tough division,
quarterback. They have Brock Bowers, who looks like he's going to be a perennial All-Pro. You lost Devontae Adams, who looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yes.
You know what Pete Carroll gives you? Credibility and seriousness. They haven't had that. The whole Antonio, the linebacker that took over, the former Giant, Antonio Pierce. That experiment didn't work, right? But what Pete Carroll gives you is an air of seriousness. He's a serious human being, Hall of Fame coach. I expect them to be better, but Dave, can they be improved enough in that division, as you said, to actually make the playoffs? I'm not sure.
What a player's coach, Pete is. What a great guy. I remember I used to go to USC practice once a week and do my show. Back when I was at 1540 the ticket, and we were we were the home of the USC Trojans back then. So practice ends, and he came over for an interview. Both of his elbows were bloody, and both of his knees were bloody. He's bleeding all over the place. I said, Coach, what happened? He said, there was a fumble, and I got on the bottom of the pile, and all the players jumped on top. I said, what other coach is doing that?
Yeah, and he has a young, energetic spirit.
Yes.
And I get the sense he thinks he got a raw deal at the end of Seattle. Because it's not like they were going 3-14, Dave. They were still pretty good. Or at least just right on the edge of being good to mediocre. And it's obvious to me that he had some gas in the tank. And they're going to have to do something in Las Vegas. There's something going on, Dave. They have no home games in Las Vegas, Dave. It's all visiting fans. It's become the NFL's Airbnb.
It's like the Chargers.
And if you do not start to win, Dave, you're basically playing at least 8 or 9 neutral site games in addition to the road games. So the Raiders got to make a move there in that market.
Now you think Detroit's going to take a step back?
I do.
You agree with me? Denver could be a dark horse team?
Yes.
Who are you looking at that maybe could come out of nowhere and be a Super Bowl contender this year that nobody's talking about? A team that can make a run.
I wouldn't count out the Chiefs, Dave. I know you got that because everyone seems to have written them off because they got blown out in the Super Bowl. Dave, I still think when you have Mahomes, and I think they're going to have a big year, but a team that's going to come out of nowhere to make a run, I honestly don't really have one. I think we're still kind of looking at the same core teams.
I think so, too. Yeah, absolutely.
But the Steelers will be fascinating with Rodgers.
I think he's going to have a good year.
Does he have another good last year was okay. I don't think he was as good as the numbers indicate. I think the numbers are very diluted, Dave, with the way the rules are. I'm a Rodgers fan. I do, because I think he's a real individual, iconoclastic, one of the best ball spinners of all time. I'd like to see him go out with a renaissance year and see him. But by the way, Mike Tomlin, there comes a point that I think the Steeler organization has to make a decision. Have we gotten as far as we're ever going to get with him? I get it. He's never had a losing year. But, Dave, if you're perennially 9-8, that's the worst thing you can be. That's middle of the road.
How about the Bengals? I thought last year, they went 8-9, I think, or whatever it was.
And they lost about 5-6 games because they couldn't hold anybody.
Joe Burrow had one of the greatest years in the history of the NFL last year. That's an MVP year if they had a better record. He was sensational. I mean, you've got Joe Burrow.
You have Trey Hendrickson. Is he in camp 1-year contract, right?
Yeah. As long as you have him, you've got a shot.
But I don't know. How much better are they on defense?
Not much.
That's the issue. If you're going to have to consistently play 38, 35 games in the National Football League, I think that's a very tough way to do it. If you look at their scores last year, Dave, there's at least 4 games you said, wow, you're just below average defensively. You win this game. The Bengals will be competitive every week because they're a threat to score 35, 40 points. You can make an argument that, hey, Trey Henderson's back. Right, we were already the worst defense. See, that's my point. It's like if a guy has half your sacks, you're thinking, wow, that guy's important. Right, but can you be any worse than the worst defense in the NFL? See, that's the question about the value of a Trey Hendrickson.
What about you look at the division with the Packers? We talked about the Packers. The Packers getting
team.
Micah, Jordan Love, if healthy, could be an MVP candidate. They have a really good team. The Bears we talked about with Caleb Williams. What about J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings? They had a really good year last year with Sam Darnold.
Believer.
Won a national championship at Michigan.
Right, by handing off 30 times.
How do you like him?
I was actually surprised he went that high.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a believer because, number one, the way they played at Michigan, you want to talk about the ultimate game manager, that was him. I don't know if he has great arm talent. Some of the stuff that I've seen from camp, and we've all seen the same, it's a little bit alarming. I don't think he's overly athletic, Gabe. I actually believe the Vikings might have been better off keeping Sam Darnold. The problem was the way Sam Darnold's last 2 weeks went last year. Struggled against Detroit, then he imploded in the playoff game against the Rams. I said to myself, it's really a shame. He's going to get paid, but it won't be in Minnesota.
What about the Commanders, who had a good run last year? Jaden Daniels was sensational, right on the cusp. I think they lost to the Eagles, right, in the NFC Championship game last year. If they're the Commanders, maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll be the Redskins again with all the lawsuits going on. But what do you think of the Commanders? They got a great quarterback.
Can Jaden Daniels overcome the second-year slide, though?
Everybody's got film on him now.
Yeah, and look, Kingsbury is the perfect coach for him. I don't know. I mean, Deebo Samuels doesn't seem to have much juice left. I don't think he's that twitched-up athlete that he used to be. But Cliff Kingsbury is very, very, very creative. I think they're going to be good, but I mean, can they be good enough to overcome Philadelphia? I still like Philly. I know, Dave, that they lost some defensive linemen, they lost some of their depth. But Howie Roseman's an unbelievable architect. You look at their offense, you still got the best player in the league. You still got Devontae Smith. You still have A.J. Brown. And you still got Jalen Hurts. And you still have the base of your offensive line. That's still going to be a really tough unit to beat.
You know, the weakest division in the NFL are probably Saints, Falcons, Panthers.
Yeah.
What a comeback for Baker Mayfield the last couple of years.
I like the Bucs in that division by a lot.
How about the Saints here? Now, they're talking about taking this year, and they're calling it the March for Arch.
I think that changed.
To bring it back to New Orleans.
That changed.
But good skill position wide receivers they have there. They still have Alvin Kamara. The defense is pretty good. All comes down to Spencer Rattler. If he doesn't throw up on himself and turn it over a whole bunch, that's a weak division. Maybe they can win the division.
I like Tampa. I think Tampa with Igbuka, to fortify their wide receiver unit, which is getting a little bit older. I think Baker Mayfield's reinvention.
Remember when he went to the Rams? His career was over.
He played on 3 days' notice. But look, this is a guy he's won playoff games in Cleveland and Tampa. The Buccaneers have not fallen off the earth post-Brady.
Is he a top 5 quarterback?
I think he's top 10.
He led the NFL in touchdown passes.
I agree, but I think he's more top 10. There's certain things he's limited with his size, but he has established himself as a frontline NFL quarterback. The Buccaneers with Vita Vea, they're pretty good. I think they're going to win that division. I think by far they're the most well-rounded team in that particular league.
So you got the Ravens and the Eagles in the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Is that your pick?
Yes.
And I got the Ravens and the Rams.
Yeah.
Depending on
You're taking
Stafford.
a risk on Stafford.
Taking a risk on Stafford.
I don't know about that one.
And with the Broncos as my dark horse team.
That's a dark horse. Okay.
that's a dark.
That is literally.
How about MVP? Lamar Jackson again, or Josh Allen again?
Don't count out Mahomes.
Jaden Daniels.
I think Mahomes is going to have a renaissance year.
Did you see that picture of him in the offseason with the big belly?
Yeah, I know.
Hopefully he's in better shape.
Yeah, but look, he's never been a bodybuilder. Look, no one's ever confused him for Lee Haney or Flex Wheeler. But, the rules are a little bit different this year.
What about Travis Kelce last year? 2 years ago, he was arguably the best tight end in the National Football League. Hooks up with Taylor Swift. He travels with her the entire offseason on a concert tour. Shows up to training camp fat and out of shape and has a bad year last year. Is he serious now that he's engaged?
Was he really out of shape or did he just lose a step?
He got fat.
Yeah. I don't know. I get the sense that for the first time in a while, Kansas City is going to stretch the field. They got Worthy, Rashee Rice after his suspension. And they got another receiver, but they're going to be able. Look, they became dink and dunk. They really did. It was actually alarming to see that offense at times. And I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line. It wasn't very good, but they invested into it. The young kid from Ohio State looks like he's locked down a job. I would not count out Patrick Mahomes to win some honors.
Dave Smith Unleashed, brought to you by MTS Transportations. And mention the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and get 20% off on your next shipment for all your shipping, trucking, and freight needs. There's only one business to call, and that's MTS Transportations at 800-640-6873. MTS Transportations, 800-640-6873.